What are the three major steps in query optimization? Query optimization involves three steps, namely query tree generation, plan generation, and query plan code generation. A query tree is a tree data structure representing a relational algebra expression. How to make query faster in Oracle. Best practices for query tuning in Oracle. Best practice 1, clarify goals. Best practice 2, identify high-impact SQL statements. Best practice 3, identify your execution plan. Best practice 4, avoid large scans. Best practice 5, optimize selects. Best practice 6, use a third-party tool. How do you improve database performance with Oracle Query Optimization? Find high-consuming SQL statements. Collect data used by the optimizer. Figure out where the performance problems. Optimize. Keep from backsliding. How to reduce the execution time of SQL query in Oracle. Reduce the workload. Two examples of how resource usage can be reduced are: if a commonly executed query needs to access a small percentage of data in the table, then it can be executed more efficiently by using an index. By creating such an index, you reduce the amount of resources used. Which query is faster, select or insert? Select. Because the select inserts data into an existing table. It is slower and requires more resources due to the higher number of logical reads and greater transaction log usage. However, providing the query hint to lock the entire destination table, the two statements perform exactly the same. How to optimize SQL queries. Tip 1, add missing indexes. Tip 2, check for unused indexes. Tip 3, avoid using multiple or in the filter predicate. Tip 4, use wildcards at the end of a phrase only. Tip 5, avoid too many joins. How do I optimize SQL query to run faster? The way to make a query run faster is to reduce the number of calculations that the software, and therefore hardware, must perform. To do this, you'll need some understanding of how SQL actually makes calculations. How can you select which queries to optimize? Here are some of the SQL cases. 1. Consistently slow queries. 2. Occasionally slow queries. 3. Queries with red flags. 4. Queries that majorly contribute to total execution time. 5. Define your requirements. 6. Reduce table size. 7. Simplify joins. 8. Use select fields from instead of select asterisk from. How to speed up SQL queries. Use column names instead of select asterisk. Avoid nested queries in views. Use IN predicate while querying indexed columns. Do pre-staging. Use temp tables. Use case instead of update. Avoid using GUID. Avoid using or in joins. What slows down a SQL query? Waiting. Queries can be slow because they're waiting on a bottleneck for a long time. You need to find out bottlenecks in these types of waits. Running. Queries can be slow because they're running, executing, for a long time. In other words, these queries are actively using CPU resources. Why is SQL query taking so long? Queries can become slow for various reasons ranging from improper index usage to bugs in the storage engine itself. What affects SQL query performance? Statistics are one of the main factors that may affect query performance because it stores analytical information about the distribution of table column values. This statistical data is used by the optimizer to estimate how many rows will return when a query is executed. How do I reduce SQL query execution time? Minimizing SQL query response times. Avoid complex join and filter expressions. Reduce explicit or implicit data type conversions. Avoid using SQL expressions to transpose values. Avoid unnecessary outer joins. Make use of constraints on tables in data servers. Use indexes and table organization features. How can select queries be improved? It's vital you optimize your queries for minimum impact on database performance. Define business requirements first. Select fields instead of using select asterisk. Avoid select distinct. Create joins with inner join, not where. Use where instead of having to define filters. Use wildcards at the end of a phrase only. How do I reduce select query time? Reduce table size. Simplify joins. Use select fields from instead of select asterisk from. What is /* plus append * hint in Oracle? / plus append * called direct path insert. Data are appended beyond high watermark, HWM, ignoring table's free space map. No triggers are fired and no constraints are checked. Only one session can use it on particular table at the same time. How to increase the speed of insert in Oracle? You can use the following methods to speed up inserts if you are inserting many rows from the same client at the same time. Use insert statements with multiple values lists to insert several rows at a time. This is considerably faster, many times faster in some cases, than using separate single-row insert statements. How to improve insert statement in Oracle? One of the most common ways to improve the performance of an insert operation is to use the append optimizer hint. Append forces the optimizer to perform a direct path insert and appends new values above the high watermark, the end of the table, while new blocks are being allocated. You can also increase the insert performance of any table by using following methods. 1. If table used any sequence, then increase sequence cache size. 2. Increase the size of redo logs. 3. In advance allocate space in table space. How can I speed up the insert operation? Without touching the indexes, you can achieve it by disable constraints. Create tables, insert records, enable constraints, add indexes. Find out where the CPU is spent on, for example in one of the insert operation I was working on. Most of this time was spent on CPU getting the GUIDs. I've changed the statement to using sequences, and insert timing came down even further. Create sequence users _mapping _C cache 100,000. And then ran the insert with append hint. Insert /* plus append * into. How to update millions of records. If I had to update millions of records, I would probably opt to not update. I would more likely do create table new _table as select do the update here from old _table. Index new _table. Grant on new table. Add constraints on new _table. Etc. on new _table. Drop table old _table. Rename new _table to old _table. You can do that using parallel query, with no logging on most operations, generating very little redo and no undo at all. In a fraction of the time it would take to update the data. How can you tune an Oracle delete SQL statement? I need to delete lots of rows? It's difficult to tune any DML statement, but there are some things that you can do to speed up Oracle delete operations. Use partitioning. The fastest way to do a mass delete is to drop an Oracle partition. Tune the delete subquery. Many Oracle deletes use a where clause subquery, and optimizing the subquery will improve the SQL delete speed. Use bulk deletes. Oracle PL/SQL has a bulk delete operator that often is faster than a standard SQL delete. Drop indexes and constraints. If you are tuning a delete in a nighttime batch job, consider dropping the indexes and rebuilding them after the delete job is completed. Small ptust. For tuning mass deletes, you can reduce free list overhead by setting Oracle to only re-add a block to the free lists when the block is dead empty by setting a low value for ptust. Parallelize the delete job. You can run massive delete in parallel with the parallel hint. If you have 36 processors, the full scan can run 35 times faster. CPU _count 1. Consider NORCHIVLOG. Take a full backup first and bounce the database into no logging mode for the delete and bounce it again after, into archive log mode. Use CTAS. Another option you can try would be to create a new table using CTAS where the select statement filters out the rows that you want to delete. Then do a rename of the original followed by a rename of the new table and transfer constraints and indexes. Break the delete into pieces. See below for a techniques to keep you from blowing out your undo logs during large delete operations. I have a very large table and I need to delete millions of rows from the table without the table fragmenting. I also need to use the best delete method, a best practice way to delete large amounts of rows as fast as possible. What are the options for deleting large amounts of rows from large tables? The answer to the best way to delete rows from an Oracle table is, it depends. In a perfect world where you can take the table offline for maintenance, a complete reorganization is always best because it does the delete and places the table back into a pristine state. We will address the tools for doing large-scale deletes and the appropriate methods for each environment. The choice of the delete methods depends on many factors. Is the target table partitioned? Partitioning greatly improves delete performance. For example, it is common to have a large time-based table partition and deleting elderly rows from these table can be as simple as dropping the desired partition. Can you reorganize the table after the delete to remove fragmentation? What percentage of the table will be deleted? In cases where you are deleting more than 30 to 50% of the rows in a very large table, it is faster to use CTAS to delete from a table than to do a vanilla delete and a reorganization of the table blocks and a rebuild of the constraints and indexes. Do you want to release the space consumed by the deleted rows? If you know that the empty space will be reused by subsequent DML, then you will want to leave the empty space within the table. Conversely, if you want to release the space back onto the table space, then you will need to reorganize the table. Here's an example of deleting billions of rows. To delete large number of rows, for instance rows with date until 2015, you can issue this simple statement. SQL delete from T where C date January 1, 2011. 1 foot 000000000 rows deleted. Elapsed 23 hours 45 minutes and 22.01 seconds. SQL commit. This is perfectly fine. The table remains online, other users are not much affected, maybe they will not even notice the lower I/O performance. It will generate quite a lot of UNDO, and you will need enough space for archive log and a large undo table space and a large undo retention setting to prevent ORA 01555 snapshot too old. If your table is like 100 GB big, you do it during weekend, you have 500 gigabits undo and 250 GB free space in your archive destination, you will be fine. Why delete is slower than insert? Because of the need for undo. When we roll back, the database uses the information in the undo table space to reverse our statement. For insert, the undo action is a deletion, so all it needs is the row of the inserted row.